Hi everyone, my name is Charlie, and I thought I might try my hand at vlogging again, only for this 1 week, and that is simply in commemoration of my 27th birthday that is liable to happen on Wednesday. This means that it should actually be quite the mundane, prosaic week, because naturally my birthday does not get celebrated. Oftentimes I purchase my own gifts, and I have no money this year, so I won't be buying any gifts for myself. I just thought it would be nice to bring you along for my week. There's quite a few new folk around these parts, so hello new people. I hope that you're going to enjoy yourselves around here, and if you don't, please do blame Doris of all the books, because for whatever reason she chose to mention me in her shout outs, and so I'm incredibly grateful for that. You know, we try and get people watching the videos, but there's something about just not being the nicest person in the world that just lends itself to everybody scarpering. Anyway, I will probably see you tomorrow.
I'm 150 pages into Christine, and I'm waiting for the horror to happen. At the moment, there's a lot of talking about the world, and I'm reminded of Riverdale, and I really don't think that's a good thing.
Some people might be questioning what to do for their 27th birthday. Therefore, I thought I might share how my day has gone. I awoke this morning and received a card from my mother, who promptly left the house. And then I embarked upon the washing up. And once that was done, I drank a cup of tea. My father came home and I made another cup of tea for us both. Then I watched some YouTube videos, and now we're here. My siblings did come home. I've received a card from my sister and a bottle of violet gin that I will never drink, because technically it's a gift to herself. I believe she might have got slightly mistaken. So that is currently in the cabinet for someone else to drink later on in the year. And I had a tofurkey sandwich. I'm now about to read some more of Christine by Stephen King. I decided that I wanted to read more horror fiction this year, and with that I thought that I would read Christine because I've seen the film for this one, and so I thought knowing the plot might reduce some of the anxiety I thought the horror genre might produce. The reason I thought that I might be able to read horror is after reading more thrillers this year, I think that they're following similar methods. I feel like I went into this wanting to be scared, and I haven't got that yet. I am currently 455 pages into the book, and whilst I am enjoying King's prose, I have no idea why he's chosen to write it in the way that he has done. I'm aware it's quite an older book now, and that this is a classic. Indeed, it was included in a collection last year of 4 books they re-released for Halloween with some excellent covers. And I've just heard they're doing the same with another 4 this year. But nothing horrific really happened until the page 350 mark. There'd been a lot of build-up, and I mentioned yesterday about being reminded of Riverdale, and I'm still being reminded of Riverdale. It's this very over-the-top dramatic teenage angst that reminds me a lot of the young adult genre. Once again, not a criticism of the young adult genre. What I'm saying is I think that this book would suit young adult readers because it is dealing with young adult characters. Personally, at the moment, I'm disappointed. However, I did not think I would go into this book and end up leaving it thinking I could recommend it as a Christmas read. So my plans for the rest of the day are to try and reach page 600 of Christine and then finish it either tomorrow or Friday. And then today I think that once I've reached page 600 I might watch a bit more Booktube. I might watch some Netflix because I haven't done that in a while. And I suppose that I should really get on with making tea for everybody. Yesterday, I went to the library for the writers group's AGM and I borrowed 2 books. I borrowed The Exorcist and I borrowed The Shining. Both books that I am determined will terrify me. The Exorcist comes under the recommendation of Dane from Dane Reads. Actually, it wasn't a recommendation at all. He called it the most terrifying book he's ever read. And naturally, I thought that would be a good book for one of my first forays into horror fiction. The AGM went well. Naturally, it was a raucous affair that, although it's usually concluded after 1 hour, this year it took the entire 2 hours to discuss everything we wanted to discuss. And then I went home and I finished reading Christine by Stephen King. This morning I said on Twitter that it's more Beverly Hills 90210 than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've mentioned on here it reminded me of Riverdale, and I would recommend this as a book to fans of Riverdale as a Christmas read, because a vast majority of this book takes place over the autumn-winter months, with a huge sequence taking place during the Christmas season. Oftentimes, I actually found myself being reminded of A Christmas Carol, which might have actually been something that pushed me towards not finding this book as scary as it perhaps should be. And admittedly, and I didn't think I would be saying this about this 749-page book, should the opportunity arise again, I would definitely reread this book as a Christmas read. I just realised now, whilst I'm sat here, that I never finished telling you what went on Wednesday. You know, that day that commemorated 27 years of Charlie being on this planet. Well, after I spoke to you, I went downstairs, I read some more Christine, and then I peeled some potatoes. Then my mother came home. She cooked those potatoes and put them in a meat and potato pie. Some of you may be thinking, Charlie, I thought you were a vegetarian, and that would be a fair estimation. I am a vegetarian. The pie was not for me. I ended up having pasta. Very nice pasta. It had some sort of basil and pine nut mixture in there, and it exploded all over the place. So yeah. Then I had some asti with my mother, because you can't drink alone, because that's seen as descending into alcoholism. But at this point in my life, I'd be quite happy to descend into alcoholism. I feel as though it might give me some of the tortured soul that people like to see in their writers, and it might actually help me sell some more books. It's either that or an opioid addiction, and frankly, I don't have that kind of money. Today is Friday. I will be at work until 5 o'clock, and then it will take me a bit of time to get home. It usually does. Rush hour is the worst on a Friday, and thus I will arrive home at about 5:30. I don't know whether my mother's home, but the way that I am feeling currently, I may just be telling everyone to order a Chinese for themselves, and I'll pay for it, just so as I don't have to cook. And then I plan to watch some Booktube, read, then I'll go to bed, and then I'll do it all again tomorrow. Right. I'll city when I city. Despite my appearance, it is Saturday. I'm aware I'm wearing the same clothes as yesterday. I'm not sorry about it. I just arrived to work to find the entrance to the car park blocked by a elderly lady on her mobility scooter. There are some retirement apartments on this road. I've no idea what it's called. And I think she was waiting for her friend, but I don't think she'd chosen the best possible place to situate herself. One, because anything that wanted to get past her to get to the retirement apartments would have to mow her down. And two, because it's the entrance to the car park, and, you know, be all over the news if someone ran over an old lady on a mobility scooter. Just saying. Let's talk about last night. So, I got home about 5:30, as I said I would. I didn't put the tea on because both me and my mother agreed we didn't want to cook, and because it was the end of the week, because we were all off work last night, we thought we'd have a takeaway. However, my mother hadn't banked on getting more calls at work, and so I started making my dad's tea at about 6:30, and then my mother arrived at 7, and eventually we had tea at 8 o'clock. But if anybody knows me, they know that I don't like to eat after 8. Not for any other reason than I'm thinking about my insomnia, and I worry that eating so late is going to end up stopping me from sleeping. And whilst it was definitely after midnight before I got to sleep, and I've woken up every single hour, I don't feel as bad as I usually do with not sleeping. I also started reading The Exorcist last night. I am currently 112 pages into the book, and I feel as though my anticipation of this being a terrifying book has lent itself to there being some more tension, because nothing really horrifying has happened yet. I mean, this girl might be talking to a spirit through the Ouija board, and you know, she's just come down and urinated in front of a load of like celebrity guests. But honestly, I felt as though that was a really punk move, and I thought that that's just one way of fighting against gentrification, so I was here for it. And you know, if the demons are gonna come forth and like support the working classes, whose side should we be on, really? Towards the beginning of this book, Regan, or Reagan, however you say her flaming name, she was very much the Mary Sue of all children. She was the epitome of the angelic child, completely infatuated with her mother, almost doll-like. And when they mentioned her age, I thought, well, I don't know any person this age who would behave in this manner. The way she was written, I believe she was about 5 or 6, and she's not. She's about to start adolescence, because they're questioning whether it's puberty and all that. I suppose you could say it's some sort of allegory for puberty, these children taking on this possible demonic, I don't know. Is it a demon? Is it a spirit? I don't know. I don't know what it is. You know, it's called The Exorcist, so they're exorcising something from a body. Honestly, any form of exercise, I'm against exercising me. Exorcisms, I don't care. Not for me. Thank you. Good night. However, Regan needed something. She needed some of this attitude about her. If that had to come from the very fires of hell, then there's this stylistic quality that just has me wanting to mock it, which I'm very sorry about. And I probably shouldn't go into literature doing that. I hadn't anticipated reading this as a writer, but in the first chapter, there was a lot of weird, short, snappy sentences when there was no need for that sort of sentence there. and sometimes it would cut off words, and I thought, is the author trying to build tension by having these full stops so it jars the reader a bit, so it raises that tension and that anticipation in them to then call itself a terrifying, chilling novel? Was this his intention all along? I know that I'm only 112 pages in, so there's still 260 pages that could absolutely cripple me with anxiety and terrify me incredibly. I understand that. I'm trying to quantify why I want to read horror fiction. I've said I think it's because I've read thrillers this year, and I've always stayed clear of horror because I've not liked the idea of being scared. But am I thinking of literature as this safe place, really? And so when it comes to being scared, I don't understand it. I feel as though I should have been terrified by now, and I've not been scared yet. I know that this is probably tempting fate, and by the end of tonight I might be this simpering ball of mush, having been completely condensed down by this book into a pure, unbridled terror, but we'll see. I've just remembered I've actually got a bottle of wine in the fridge that I'm planning on sharing with my mother. Can you imagine The Exorcist and Pinot Grigio? Can you imagine it? You can't, because you've not done it yet yourself, but we'll have a go. Anyway, I will try and check in with you tomorrow for the final portion of this vlog, and I hope you're having a great day, whatever you're doing. It's 9:30 on Sunday morning, and I have just finished reading The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. I read this because I think Dane mentioned in his horror book tag that this was the most terrifying book he's ever read. Sadly, I didn't get that. There were some parts that I'd seen popularised in satire. I understood why they could be seen as terrifying, but maybe because I'd seen them joked about, I didn't feel as creeped out as I thought I was going to. I spent most of the third part bored, which I don't think I was supposed to. And then when it came round for the final part, you know, where they're introducing the guy they previously introduced in the prologue and you've not seen for ages, I just thought, well, finally, but could we not have got to this point sooner? It felt like this book had been bulked out, and it just didn't get me. It didn't scare me. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the characterisation of Chris, who I felt was created to be this almost damsel in distress. I understand that a mother is going to be somewhat upset that her daughter has been possessed by a demon, and I understand she's going to be doing everything within her power to rid her child of this demon, but there needed to be more agency here. She was very much this very stylistic of the 60s era, where writers in film and apparently in fiction as well would have the women come in, and every time she's just like, gee, and she's just not what I expected. She's very stereotypical Stepford housewife, who, although she's divorced her husband, she's still this very sprightly creature, and she's just not a real character. She's just this puppet the writer has created to come out and say a few things. And even though this is a book about her daughter and her daughter's struggle, you spend most of the time inside Karis's head in the end. I didn't care for that, because he's just there questioning whether there is something psychological going on with this girl, filling in all the blanks. But we've already been told through stories before that Chris doesn't believe this is psychological anymore. That's why she's come to the priest in the first place. So maybe we didn't have to spend another 200 pages going over old ground. Not a fan. Didn't get scared. I was actually talking to Charlie of Charlie Brooke about this yesterday, because I was saying that whilst Dane had called it a terrifying book, I'd yet to be scared, and I was wondering whether I'd actually been messed up as a child, whether my sarcasm had caused me to reach this point where I couldn't be scared by what is ultimately said to be a terrifying, chilling book, especially when it's happened now with two of the books I'm thought that I'd be scared by. And she said, maybe I've been messed up by Maria of MH Books, which is also a possibility. I wouldn't reread this book. I'm not even sure I'd watch the film, because I feel as though I've seen the film. I mentioned this as well, because my father used to watch a lot of horror films when I was younger.
My parents were never very child-friendly when it came to the films they watched. It was very much if they wanted to watch it, they were watching it, and if the kids happened to be in the room, they happened to be in the room. You know, it's just an education for the future. And so that's how I spent so much time terrified of looking at a television when I was younger, because I happened to see Poltergeist when I was quite young. So I may have seen this film already. And I actually spoke to my dad about this when I got home. He's not a reader, but he has watched the films of both Christine and The Exorcist. And I said to him, were you scared by it? And he said, it's not a horror film. And I pointed out, like I did yesterday in the video, the parts where I'd laughed in the book. And he said, yeah, he'd laughed at them too. So am I just getting my father's sense of humour and it's coming through in the medium of fiction? I don't know, but it terrifies me. Ah, that actually worked. And that actually worked. The way that I'm being scared is by worrying that I'm turning into my father. So maybe The Exorcist did its job in the first place. So I don't think that I am going to be reading The Shining today. I'm kind of unofficially doing something of this 24-hour readathon for the Book Junkie Trials. But I would actually like to get a book read off my coordinated TBR. My friend Lily has talked about The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater a lot to me, and I really think that that's going to be the next book that I pick up. But I do think that for the purposes of this vlog, I am going to end it here. And I might do another vlog this week. I'm not too sure. I am going to leave things here. I plan on spending my Sunday doing what I usually do, which is lazing about the house, feeling like a complete slob, getting all slovenly. If I do record another vlog over the next week, then you may see it next Sunday. If I don't, then you won't, because honestly, these things are difficult to keep up with. I am planning on turning this vlog into my portion of the reading vlog tag by Doris of all the books. I'm going to link in the description her announcement video of this tag, because honestly, the malevolence within that video and the mischief that she just exudes filled me with joy when I was watching that video last week, because she tags people that definitely don't like doing reading vlogs, and I was here for it, not gonna lie. So yeah, if you just happen to bob over and say hello to Doris, that would make me very happy. Indeed, go and say hello to all of the booktubers I've mentioned in this vlog, because they're all very fantastic people. I quite fancy going and putting the coffee on now. So, oh, since I am saying that this is part of the reading vlog tag, there are a few people I would like to see do reading vlogs. Actually, again, I've mentioned them all in this video. Then if I've mentioned your name in this video, please consider yourself tagged. If you've read either of these books and would like to discuss them, please feel free to do so in the comments. If you have a recommendation for a horror book that I ought to read, then, you know, comment and tell me what it is, and tell me why you think I will find it truly terrifying. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.